Okay, finally the recording is on. Good to go. Okay, we have lots in the chat box, and thank you everyone for responding with your children's ages. And we have hit 100 participants. That is also, I guess, it's a good start. As a mother, I am mother of four children. My oldest one is 13 years old, and my youngest one is 8 years old. She just turned 8 years few days back. Okay, so um, can you please read the quote in the slide?
Yes.
Okay. What does it remind you? Anything? It says a child became angry. The parent showed anger to suppress the anger of the child. That is what normally happens, right? When they show a tantrum or anger, we also become angry at them. This is equivalent to throwing mud at a muddy child, expecting it to make the child clean. We also show anger and we expect the child to stop showing anger. Isn't it strange? Yes or no? Isn't it a strange kind of an expectation? Yes. Okay, says Bahija. Thank you all for the response. So let's begin. So, what can you expect in today's session? We'll have a few case discussions because I don't want this to be a theoretical session for you on anger management. And as parents, we know no theory works when it comes to the direct situation when you are there getting angry with your child. So we'll be having a lot of case discussions and we'll analyze what healthy anger and unhealthy anger is. Um, we'll also realize what our triggers are. We'll be checking on the triggers because only if we exactly know what the trigger is, then only we'll be able to handle that cause, right? That cause of anger. And we'll be discussing four mistakes that we normally make while trying to control our anger, and we'll be discussing certain strategies to gain calmness. So let's start with four cases which are quite connectable, I guess. And these are the situations that we parent mentors at Crink normally hear on a day to day basis. So the first case is that of Sarah, mom of a 4-year-old child. One day she was in work and her daughter came to her and said, I want to play with you. She has come with a lot of toys. Without even waiting for a second, Sarah got very angry and she shouted, can't you see that I'm in work? What do you think is the reason behind Sarah's anger? There can be multiple reasons. So I would like to hear from you.
Stress
Sorry.
mainly.
Maybe
Sorry.
work pressure,
Mm-hmm.
Stress.
Work pressure, stress. Then what?
an emotional imbalanced situation.
Why? Why is the emotional imbalance happening?
Maybe because of many problems like family issues, relationship issues,
Mm.
uh, official stress, and all.
Okay. Yes, that can be a reason. That is Mira, right? Hi, Mira.
Hi, ma'am.
And okay, in the chat box, Safira says work stress. I'm sorry. Sinu says mom guilt. Yes. Um, Samaya says or something she's trying to achieve in her work and maybe a core moment. Okay. These can all be the reasons. Distraction, lack of support from people around. Yes, these are all
The things
definitely
that she is
reasons.
not able to play with her child itself make her, her angry sometimes.
Okay, Safna. So this Sarah is exactly facing the situation that Safna and many others said in the chat box. It is self-criticism. Hmm? That is, she's feeling that I can't spend enough time with my child. I'm not doing enough for her. This is a period when I have to spend a lot of time with my child, but I'm not able to do it. So that these thoughts and self-criticism was what made Sarah angry. Now, this is the case of Shyam. He's a dad of 10-year-old. What Shyam was facing is the child was lying to him. Okay? The 10-year-old child was lying and he got extremely angry at it and he behaved in a way which was very harsh for us to witness. Okay? So, what was the trigger there? Why was Shyam getting angry?
because his son lied.
Yes, of course, the child was lying. So, what was exactly disturbing him?
Maybe he was expecting like his son should not lie to him. He want he is a good son.
Okay, expectation can be a reason here. Rima says wants him to be perfect. Lack of parenting knowledge, says Lubana. His own childhood traumas. Yes, these can all be reasons. Thoughts like where did he
Forgetful.
go wrong? Yes, that can also be criticism. And in this case, for Shyam, it was his. Someone's mic is on. Can you please mute, Noorlain? Okay, and for Shyam, what happened was he believed that I have to be angry at him in order to stop his lying in future. Okay, so it was his belief system that made him angry there. He need to, the child need to stay away from this behavior. And Sham believed it is only achievable if I become very strict, and if only the child knows about the punishment, he'll stay away from it. Okay, this was the reason why Sham was angry. And next is the case of Amira. She saw the child drop a glass and the glass broke. Okay, and Amira instantly shouts. And yes, Nurlen, your audio is muted. Okay, she instantly shouted at the child, and Amira cannot tolerate even a minute mistake that comes from the child. What could be the reason in this case?
That's because she must be overworking already. Maybe
Okay,
continuously she must be working and suddenly again she dropped.
yes, that is also a a very valid reason. Already she'll be cleaning a lot of things, and again she saw this. That was the way she was brought up, says Duha. What else?
She must be thinking that her child is careless.
Hmm. Yes, their expectations can work. My child shouldn't be careless. I'm just switching on the charger. Okay. What else?
It might
So in
hurt the
this
kid.
case, hmm, what's it?
Might it might hurt the kid. She was worried about that.
Yes. So there are several reasons like this. And for this, Amira, it was a learned behavior, as one of you said. This was what she learned from her parents. She was used to very harsh
ഇതില്ലത് വൈ
punishments.
സ്ക്വയർ ഇതാണ് വൈ ഇതിന്റെ
Ramsey, can you
കൊഫിഷ്യന്റ്
please
ഏതാ?
mute? Ramsey? She was used to harsh punishments, and when she made minute mistakes, she was, dealt with in a harsh way, and she got used to it that this is the first reaction that comes from her. Okay, and in the case of this dad, the fourth case, it is Asim, and he has a hyperactive child. The child is running around, never listens, hears half of what Asim says, and he's unable to manage the child. And he gets very irritated, and most of the time he shouts. What could be the exact reason here? What is prompting Asim to shout?
Worried about the
A child
society's
needs
pressure.
attention seeking.
Okay, attention seeking behavior is becoming very tough for Asim.
I think he's worried about the societal pressure, what others must be thinking, that
Hmm.
he's got a hyperactive child. He doesn't want to control his kid.
Yes, a very valid reason. My parents normally face, right? When we go outside and our children are misbehaving, it
Lack
is
of
something
knowledge
that
how
he
to
can't
control
control.
the hyperactive child.
Yes, 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 exactly. As some of you mentioned in the chat, and as Sayama, I don't know whether I spelled it right, as you said, it was the incapability of dealing with the situation. He doesn't know how to manage the situation. He gets very embarrassed in front of others, and the normal reaction that comes is he can only shout at that time, or he can only spank at that time. He doesn't know how else to behave. Okay, so different reasons for these parents to be angry, and it's not just the child's behavior. As we see in these four cases, it's not just the child's behavior that prompts, right? It depends on how we perceive each of the situations. Can you relate? I hope you can all relate to any one of these situations in your parenting journey. Now, talking about this anger, it is a secondary emotion. Secondary emotion because anger comes as a reaction to a primary emotion or to an underlying issue. When we experience feelings of hurt, frustration, sadness, we may be responding as anger. Anger will be the outward reaction that comes. Okay. For example, if we feel that we are hurt or we are rejected, then we may respond with anger as a defense mechanism. That is to protect ourselves. And similarly, if someone threatens us or we feel insecure, we might express anger as a way to express our power. Okay, that comes automatically. Now, let's check whether our anger is healthy or not. In order to analyze whether our anger is healthy or not, I'll be walking you through 6 characteristics to check, to have a self check. Okay, the first one is the frequency. Is there frequent outbursts? I want you all to analyze your anger pattern as I walk you through these checklist. And the first one is the frequency. How frequently do you get angry? If you observe you're getting angry every week you have an episode of outburst, or on the worst side, it's happening every day, then we need to realize that it's not going in a healthy manner. The second one is the intensity. It can range from mild to very intense anger. And the third is the duration. How long does your anger last? Are you able to come out of it quickly, or does it take longer period to come out of it? Next is the threshold. Do you get angry at minimum provocation, or can you tolerate it for a longer period? If you can tolerate it for a longer period, that naturally means the duration in which you are getting angry will be, uh, uh, that will be a longer duration, and it can be healthy. Once in a while is okay. And for that, the threshold has to be maximum, right? And the next point is the way you express. Some of us express it as an outburst. Some of us suffer inside without an outburst outside, while some react in a calm way and solve the situation at hand. Both holding it inside and expressing it in the wrong way has to be avoided. Those are all danger signs. And the sixth point is your degree of comfort. Some of us dislike being angry, while some of us are pretty okay, comfortable in being angry, while some of us even see anger as something that gives us power. Okay, so your degree of comfort, if you feel comfortable being angry, and if you feel like, okay, I have to be angry, that is my power, then your anger is not healthy. I'm sorry about the throat. Now, why is this anger striking us? We are going to explore 10 reasons, and I want you all to note which all triggers you are facing in your life. Okay, so we'll be analyzing 10 areas in which we can get triggered. Only if you identify that area properly, we'll be able to solve the issue. The first is feeling of hurt or pain. You feel rejected, you feel disrespected, you feel powerless. When we are reminded about our worthlessness, example, you feel your child's reaction is completely disrespectful to you. I'm not getting the respect as a parent. Then you get angry. That is one reason. Second one is anger as an attempt to gain lost power. We feel in control of the situation, or we feel a temporary satisfaction when we get angry. But actually, if you think, you are not gaining power there, instead, you are giving the power to another person to make you angry. Isn't it? Can you connect to that? Are you being powerful, or are you giving the power to a third
Once
party?
again, repeat first point once more.
Okay, the first point is because of hurt, rejection that you feel. You feel worthless. The second is when you express your anger, you feel like you gain power. Okay? Yes, Aisha Hira Ramsey says yes. Now, the next one. We get angry when our expectation is unrealistic. Do you expect to work day and night and miss your sleep and yet be active and happy with your kids? The expectation is unrealistic. Do you expect a highly active child like Azim did? Do you expect such an active child to sit in a corner and be quiet there? That is unrealistic. Next, unhealed wounds from the past. People around you may think like, why are you getting irritated at such a small situation? But inside, you haven't solved a lot of day-to-day issues, so that you are almost full, and just one more small drop of trigger, it just make you overflow. Or you might have faced neglect, emotional isolation, poor attachment with your parents in your childhood, which on the go leads you to be angry quite often. You don't know how to manage your emotions. So, if you have unhealed wounds from the past, you'll see that you're getting angry quite often. Next is the environment. Nafis, can you please mute? Jasmine, can you please mute your mic? Jasmine, Shruti, can you? Okay. So next is a learned behavior. This is what you saw in your childhood. Your parents might have treated you with anger quite often, and you see them constantly in anger with others also. So anger is something that is fed to your brain, and when a situation arises, you quickly grab to that anger that you know and you exhibit it. So environment taught you that, and that is coming to you as a first response. Another effect of environment is that you see people getting what they want when they are angry, and you feel, or you automatically it is fed to your brain that okay, if I get angry, I get what I want. This shapes your belief system. Next one is you get exposed to a lot of anger and abusive treatment that you get desensitized of the emotions of others. You don't care because you don't know how it feels when someone corrects you in the right way. You haven't experienced that. You are desensitized to all these, emotions. Similarly, if you observe kids who are used to violent games, they get desensitized to violence. They'll be hitting each other. It is okay if someone hits them also. They get quite desensitized. Similarly. Next is helplessness. You don't know what exactly you should do to solve the situation at hand. That makes you stressed, and you don't know how to resolve conflicts. If the child lies, in the case of the parent that we saw in the beginning, the child lies and he might have felt helpless, right? He doesn't know how to correct. Next is your physical condition like hunger. If you're not well, if you're sleepy, if you're tired, normally we get angry. And for me, hunger is a big reason. The moment I feel I'm getting irritated, the first thought that goes is, am I hungry? Okay. Then, yes, less self care and spirituality. Studies show that in the fast paced world, we don't have time for uplifting our spiritual aspect, which leads to frustration inside. And we may often hear, like, just increase your spirituality and your anger will be gone. Even though that is not the case exactly, but spirituality is one reason that will help you be mindful and that will help you stick on to your calmness. And similarly, the self care time that you give, we'll be discussing all that in detail. And the next is mental illness. Um, let's also realize that intense anger can root from mental illness, um, like depression, anxiety, post traumatic stress disorder, schizophrenia, etc., etc. And in those cases, medication is also needed. So take a moment and see which of these causes are there in your life, and only when you realize the cause, you will be able to rightly give the intervention. Okay. Now, what happens when you are triggered? So when you see a situation as a threat means there is a problem that is in front of us, then we experience anger, and various hormonal neurological processes occur in the body and also in the brain. Okay, so let's see what all happens when we see a threat. The first is the hormonal response. All the stress hormones are released in our body, and the body is getting prepared to either fight the situation or run away from the situation. And as a result, our heart rate increases, blood pressure increases, and the result of these stress hormones is that it also lessens the functions of the body like digestion, immune response, etc., because the whole concentration is in fighting this threat that is there in front of us. And another response that happens in our body is that the part of the brain that is completely associated with processing emotions, that is triggered, that becomes activated. And at the same time, the region of the brain that is the prefrontal cortex, which is associated to thinking logically, decision making, rational thinking, that part of the brain that becomes less active. And that is why we feel difficulty regulating the emotions, because we cannot think properly, we cannot think logically at that time when we are triggered. And as a result of these two, heart rate increases and blood pressure increases, as I said, and also muscle tension, muscles tighten, and we feel we are breathing shallow. During anger, our breathing becomes shallow and also rapid. And this also limits the oxygen intake into our body. So these many things are happening inside when we are getting angry. So it's not, a minor thing that is happening. A lot of things are happening inside, and that is why we are losing ourselves. Okay. So we'll be discussing how to deal with these. Before that, yes, let's check the advantages and disadvantages of anger. When Sarah was working, the first case that we took, Sarah was working and she got angry. Amira got angry when the child dropped the glass. Asim got angry when he saw the hyperactive child, running around and disturbing everyone. Similarly, when the child lied, dad got angry. In those situations, I would like you to list in the chat box what are the advantages that the parent got when the parent got angry. All these four parents, they got angry. So, what is the advantage that they faced when they got angry? Can you list a few? Yes, Lubana says quick result. Mira says nothing. No, Mira, there are advantages. Quick result, overpower, instant calmness, or the child stops. Yes, we feel completely vented out, right? And we feel instantly calm. Feeling that we corrected the behavior by getting angry. Yes, that is a satisfaction. Understanding that their behavior is unacceptable. I didn't get you, Hafsa. We are discussing about the advantages. Not any positive, says Arshida. To get some relief. Nothing, says Safira. Vent out their frustration. Yes. Correct the child. Feeling relief, temporary relief to show off that we care if they do wrong. Yes, that gives us a satisfaction. Quick calm of the child, correcting the child. Glucose statements can be used. Okay. I guess Mira is the same Mira, right? Or is it the different Mira? Okay, anyway, quick relief. As you said, there are certain advantages that we perceive on the first place, and that is why we are getting the reward of our anger. Okay, like we may see that the child is stopping the behavior that we want him to stop. And for me, as a parent, when I had one child and when I had the second one also, in the initial phase, I didn't actually know what anger was. And I used to completely wonder when I see other parents getting angry. It was a real surprise for me. How can they be angry at the little one? That was a thought that used to come. But then slowly I also understood how we get angry. And I remember the first few days when I found out that anger is really something that works. And I was discussing with my husband, Isa was doing such a thing, and I just raised my voice and he stopped instantly. And we were discussing that this is something that works perfectly, but this is not what we want. And it was in that initial time that I wanted to stay away from it. And it helped me. That realization really helped both of us. So it gives instant result. That is one of the things why we stick on to it. And as many of you said, it also gives us that relief. We don't know, we don't want to keep it inside. Once we are done with it, we get that relief. Now, coming to the disadvantages. What are the disadvantages that you can list? Guilt, regret. Okay. What else? They feel scared if they see us. Child may replicate the behavior. Child becomes mentally weak. Child might not trust us anymore. Connection with the child is lost. Child may not come to you as easily and quickly for small things. Child fears mom after that, breaking the bond. The child lose self-respect, trauma, guilt, frustration. They will imitate, will be tagged as an angry mom. Bond is weakened with the child. Modeling, guilt affects the parent-child relationship. Child starts lying. They also behave in similar manner. They won't realize how to regulate their emotions. Beautiful. So we'll be viewed negatively, not just by others, but by our child themselves, right? And it affects the emotional health of the child. It causes aggression in them. They start lying. It greatly affects the relationship that we have with the child. Yes, I can see that the chat is coming in. And yes, with all these negatives that are in front of us, do you feel that the advantages that we listed in the beginning, is that really worth? We said the advantages are the child will stop instantly and we get that instant peace. Okay, no, not at all. All the good things done are vanished with anger moments. Okay, so this is the first realization that we need. And as you said, the short term effect will be there. We may feel like we are gaining control, but then if we think on a long term, the effect is complete, the advantages turn completely zero, because the child will be learning how to react like that. They start showing aggression on us, they'll start hating us, they won't obey to anything. And at one point, we realize that they are even hiding things from us and doing. It's not actually correcting them, but it is, in fact, making them more secretive. And they start doing mistakes, and we won't be knowing it. Okay. So, all the long term effects are quite bad. And that is the main reason why we need to stay away from it. Thus, though Shyam was able to threaten the child to stop lying, did he succeed actually? Is the long term positive impact there? No, the child will learn to lie better next time without catching, right? So realizing this and accepting this one wholeheartedly is the first step that we need. And we get only aggressive kids, or we may get super submissive kids, which is also not a good thing. Okay, who who burn inside and who are not able to react to something when they have to. So that is why we have to manage our anger. And the happy news is that the anger can be managed. You can reduce your anger's intensity, frequency, duration, increase your threshold, and have control over it. So before getting into the managing strategies, let's see the 4 mistakes that we make, which will which naturally will prevent us from managing the anger properly. The first mistake is bottling inside. What happens in majority of the time, we hear that I'm not able to control my anger. I try maximum to control, but I'm not able to. This is something that we hear quite often from parents. But what you're trying to do there is you're trying to bottle up, you're trying to control, you're trying to bottle up. That will result in what? When you try to bottle up,
Suppression. Suppression.
suppression, expansion, okay, burst out, blast, yeah, yeah, etc. So one day a huge outburst will occur, and that is why we feel like we cannot control at that point. Okay, that we are trying to bottle up, and this is not an effective strategy. Let's not point fingers at others. That is the second thing. Anger is completely our choice. No one is forcing it on us. People behave the way they are. The world around us runs as it is. We have zero control on what is happening around us. If you're in a joint family, we don't have any control on the people who are there. And we have full control on how we react to situations. That is why it is said anger is our choice. We can choose to talk calmly and be a role model to our child, or we can choose to show our anger. We can choose to address the issues right when we are triggered, or we can choose to leave the situation, gain control of our emotions, and then address it. So let's take the responsibility of our anger, and we will be discussing how to gain strength to do all those. And also, when we start working on matters that we can control, always we see that the result follows. And the third one is believing I cannot. My parents were like this, my family is like this, they all get angry very fast, so I cannot control it. These are not reasons that you cannot break. The point is, you are not taking the right steps to break it. So, are you taking the right step to break that? Is the question that is in front of you. So, without bottling up, without pointing fingers at others, without believing I cannot, let's take charge. And the fourth mistake is you fail a majority of the times because you try to address it at the moment when you're getting angry. So, you cannot do the breathing technique that the your therapist has suggested. Again, when you see the same situation in front of your eyes, you get angry, you regret, and you try to bottle up again, but again you lose it. Actually, the work should happen on a regular basis. It has to be your routine. In those moments when you don't get angry, there has to be a homework that has to be done so that you can maintain your calmness when you get angry. Are you with me? Bottling up means you are just holding all the grudge inside and try to suppress. Okay, Najeeba, Hasnat. Who else is with me? Are you ready to dive into the few strategies which you can do to control your anger? Okay, Fatima, Sinu, Safira, Duha, Sabira, Sabina. Okay. So, as we said, we'll be dealing with the strategies in two categories. One is what you have to do at the moment when you get angry. But before that, we'll be dealing with certain situations which you have to do, certain homeworks that you have to do outside the moment of anger. Okay, that means that is a homework. So, outside the moment, as we discussed, when we perceive a situation as a threat, stress hormones are released. Thus, we need to do certain things to equip us to not see the situation as a threat. We shouldn't be seeing the situation as a threat. That is our goal. So then the stress hormones won't be triggered, right? So for that, we need to do a slight homework. I'll be sharing that worksheet. You need to note, I'm sorry. So every time you get angry, you need to note the situation that happened, the real thought that was there when you got angry, what exactly you need to address, how, and the resources that you have. For example, first is the situation of Sarah. Let me go to the slide. Okay. So Sarah was working. I was working and my child came to play with me. That is the situation. The real thought that happened is it's not that the child came to me, it was playing with me is his right. Can you please mute? Whose mic is that? Excuse me. Okay. So the real thought was playing with me is his right. I'm not giving him app time. I'm not doing enough. That was the thought that was there in Sarah's mind. And the third column is what to address. So what she has to address is her time management. Ramsi, can you please mute? Okay. And how should that be addressed? She can decide to right away go and schedule just a 15 minutes from her week's time and assign it to play with her child. Isn't that feasible? At 10 minutes or 15 minutes a week? Don't you think it is possible? However busy you are. Fatima Sharan gave a thumbs up. Who else? Do you feel it's hard? Okay, Rima, Fatima AK. Okay, nice. Thank you, Hasina Banu. Okay, Samaya, Arshida. So that is a step that she can take, right? To schedule a 10 or 15 minutes in the coming week. Now, what the difference here is she's doing this not when she's triggered. She's doing this when she's not triggered, when her logical side of the brain is working, and she's formulating a plan to deal with it. And the second thing that she writes down is to rework her schedule. That is something that she has to do, right? Reworking her schedule to fit in this time with the baby on a regular basis. See, if you hear about, you might be seeing a lot of reels in Instagram which talks about individual time with your child or the quality time that you spend with your child. And when you focus on doing that every day, maybe you'll do it for 3 4 days, but then the fifth day it's gone. So Sarah is working on a schedule in such a way that she can have it consistently on a minimum basis. The advantage of setting like that is once you feel, okay, this is working, I can allot a 10 minutes more, then at that point, if you allot a 10 minutes more, then it's good. So rework your schedule and set a timing for your children for whatever it is, whatever thing that you have to address. For that, set it on a minimum basis and slowly increase as you settle. So, as I said, the difference is she's doing this work when she's in a calm and okay to plan mode. And next time when the child comes, for example, she has planned this, and today's Monday, and she has planned the time with the child on Saturday. And tomorrow again, the child is coming with the toys. She won't get triggered because she doesn't see that as a threat. She has already in her mind, she's convinced that, okay, I've set my time, and maybe she'll respond like, maybe I've set a time on Saturday, let's play at that time, because she has a plan to deal with this threat. Okay, so the next situation is, today also he didn't write neatly. Okay, handwriting is something that triggers most of us. And the father sees this, the notebook of the child, and gets triggered. So the real thought that came to the parent is, he's a 9-year-old and still his handwriting is not good. Maybe he'll be criticizing himself. I haven't taught him this till now. Maybe my handwriting is also not good and my child is also becoming like this. All those thoughts will be there. And what has to be addressed? The handwriting has to be improved. And for that, this parent decides to schedule a 10 minutes of writing every day, focusing on the strokes first or focusing on the beauty. So, what makes it different here is, every time the parent sees a child's book, he's getting irritated. But he's not doing anything, he's just telling the child to write neatly. And it is becoming a force on the child, and the child is also getting stressed. But here, when he planned, he wrote 10 minutes every day. Can you tell me the advantage of setting this as 10 minutes and not 30 minutes?
Child sits for it and it will be consistent.
Yes, it takes off the stress from the child and also the parent. And the parent will see that on a day to day basis, the child is becoming improved. The child's handwriting is improving. And it's not boring for the child. They can maintain the consistency. It is just 10 minutes that works. Okay. So, this is the advantage of planning like this as a homework. Now, the third situation, I asked for water and my child didn't bring it. So, the thought that came to the parent is, she's disrespecting me, she's not obeying me. What has to be addressed there? First, the parent's self esteem has to be addressed. We see that a lot of times, those parents who have faced neglect and those as children, when they were disrespected a lot, as they grow up, they lack self-esteem, and when they get the slightest trigger from their child, they feel that their child is disrespecting. And also here, the child's obedience might also be might be improved. So in certain cases like this, an external help might be needed. Here the parent notes that they need therapy to support their self-esteem, and also they need steps to build obedience in the child, and there they can take Crink's support, because we are specialized in challenges like this to be addressed. So in some of the areas you might need a help, and talking about Crink is the best option, I would say. Not just because it is my venture, but um, the real reason why we are doing this is, there is no systematic things that you can depend on to correct your parenting journey. And it's been 3 years since we started, and I would say that the transformation that we can make in parents who can commit at least 30 minutes a week is immense. From managing their time to child's moral values, bonding, improved obedience, etc., etc. And the best part is that we give personal guidance. Um, Like, for example, in this session, if I suggest one or two strategies in a group session like this, it might not fit everyone. Or for some of you, you might need an extra one or two steps extra to have that consistency or to bring in that result. That is where Crink's personal guidance will help. For example, in this parent's case, how we will be approaching it is, we'll be first working on positioning the mind of the parent. The self-esteem has to be addressed. Counseling sessions have to be carried forward, and habit has to be set on the parent to have a clear mind. Okay, that is a result of frequent, consistent, small habits. So, as a result, they'll be having a clear mind and a confident self to deal with the issues of the child. And once this is set, we'll be moving on to the bonding with the child. The child, as a result, the child will feel loved and valued. They start respecting the parent more and they cooperate to instructions more. This is a result that we hear from, this is a result that in fact brings a lot of joy in our team, among our team of parent mentors. When we hear from the parent that they've started working on the bonding for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and now we have heard this from several parents. Earlier, I used to instruct my child for 10, 20 times, and now I don't have to do that. They are obeying quite fast. So these are the results that come as a result of bonding. Then we have to correct our communication, and we need to handle the emotions of the child rightly. We need to bring in that emotional security for the child, and we need to adopt positive correction techniques so that there is no conflict at all, or the conflicts are on a minimum level. So by then, the relationship with the child improves. You don't have to go after the child to correct. You learn all positive correction techniques, and also you learn how to set boundaries with the child. So the advantage of personal mentorship like this is, once you are in the guidance of a mentor, the mentor will rightly guide you if you need a therapy, if you need assistance on building a positive self, or if you need to build the confidence of the child. They'll rightly analyze what you have to work on and guide you in the steps consistently. So yes, in the third situation, therapy might be needed for the parent, and to build the obedience of the child, they have to work on the bonding. They have to see how they are correcting the child. They need to positively set boundaries. Such things will be needed, and if you need external support in that, the parent should take it. Yes, Shruti has posted the numbers. In case you're struggling in any of these areas in parenting, we are here to support you, and you can contact in the numbers that is posted in the chat box. Now, so once this work is done, the threat that is in front of us becomes, what is the opposite of threat? I don't know. It doesn't become a threat to you anymore. So your stress hormones won't be produced, and you'll get better control of the situation. Now, the second aspect that I want you all to seriously consider is your sleep time, your self-care, and your spirituality. These are the things that help us run longer. If we start running for 30 minutes in a high paced speed from here, you'll be very tired. You won't be able to run longer, right? But then consider taking breaks of 10 minutes in between. Once you run for 10 minutes, then you take a break. That will help you run not just for 30 minutes. You can go on even longer. So these things, your physical health, your sleep, your self-care, your spirituality, these are all the things that will help you run longer. Okay. So there are several other strategies that can be used to different people according to your characteristics and your personality. So do contact in these numbers if you need more strategies to manage your anger. Provided you do all these steps to outside the moment when you get angry, then you will be able to maintain or you'll be able to do the things that you can in those moments of anger. um, you'll be able to take control of the moment. Okay, so let's check out what you can do at the moment of anger so that you can bring back to your calm self. The first most effective thing is breathing technique, and you can do the breathing technique only if you make sure that you do all the homeworks. Then only you'll be able to do this at that moment when you're getting angry. So breathing technique is highly effective, which helps us relax a lot. One reason why it helps us relax is, as we said, uh, when anger triggers us, the stress response is triggered, right? Our heart rate increases, shallow breathing and fast breathing occurs. It tenses our muscles. And when deep breathing technique is performed, it activates the relaxed response in the body. It counteracts these stress responses that the body is having. And also, it increases the oxygen intake, which slows down our breath, and oxygen level in the body increases, and that naturally leads to a clearer mind. And also, when we focus on breathing, we get distracted from the trigger, which is highly effective in gaining control of the moment. And yes, there are several reasons like this for which is why breathing technique is very helpful. And also, while you perform the breathing technique, see that there are several ways to do it. One of the most common ways is the 4-4-4 technique, where you inhale through your nose for a count of 4 seconds, and then you hold the breath for a count of 4 seconds, and you release it slowly through your mouth for a count of 4 seconds. So repeat this cycle of 4-4-4 multiple times until you feel calm and relaxed. Okay, so that is one way how what you can do at the moment of anger. And the second thing is, you can pause, you can zip your mouth and just leave the place if needed. This is the least thing that we can do, and then gain calmness and come back and address it. For example, the broken glass situation that the Amira faced, she might have done like that. Okay, certain situations when you see that you need to urgently interfere with the child, you cannot take a pause and you cannot leave the situation. But then in a majority of the situations, you can at least do this. Okay, so these are the two techniques that I wanted to discuss um, today, while you try to take control of that moment when you get anger. And handling our emotion is a great way to help kids handle their own emotions. um, we do have separate path, in the sense we guide you in a step by step manner to help you control your anger in an effective manner, as well as to help your child also regulate their emotions. And also, if you need help in having the heart talk with the kids, as parents, correcting the kids is one of our main duties. So we have to do the hard talks at times. We need to set boundaries. We need to handle emotions of the child. In order to do all this in the right way, you can take the support of Crink, specialized mentors who are really specialized in the parenting area will be guiding you. So take right steps without getting late. So the quote that you see in the screen, can you fill the dash there? You cannot enter noise with what? Yes,
Noise.
exactly.
Anger.
Yeah, with another noise. You cannot enter noise with another noise. Just remember those lines in situations when you get angry. Do the homework, okay, and then try to control the anger in the moment. Also, be self forgiving. It takes some time to gain that control of the situation. So, give yourself also some time to grow and, gain control and seek help if needed. So if you have any, we have come to the end of the session. If you have any doubts in this, you can ask. And also, I would like to announce the upcoming 5-day workshop on time management or getting organized as a parent. There we'll be analyzing your schedule. If you are a busy parent and if you want time for realizing what your priorities are and for bringing that into your schedule, this will be something that is useful to you. It is a paid workshop, a 5-day workshop. So if this is something that benefits you, do check that out. You can message in the number. Shruti, can you post the number again? Okay, thank you, Aisha, Serena. Any doubts we can address, or else we can end the call. And thank you everyone for joining today. Thank
Could you
you,
please show
Kamar.
the last slide which showed about the solution?
Which one is it? Is this at the moment?
Yes, yes, exactly.
Okay.
Can you repeat the homework, ma'am?
Um, Homework means those situations that those things that we have to do when we are out of the anger, which will help us be calmer when we get angry. And there we discussed two things. One is this worksheet. Once an anger episode is over, just write down the situation, your real thought, what to address, and how to address, so that the next time the situation occurs, you'll feel okay, I can control it. And the second thing is taking care of your sleep, health, self care, spirituality, etc. Recording should be available. Thank you, Fatima. Thank you, Najiba, Shamnam. Thank you, Rima. Yes, recording. You can message in the group. Thank you, Hafsa. Thanks all for joining, and I really hope that you'll all be able to control your anger and we can raise an emotionally healthy generation. Thanks for joining me today.
Hello?
കഴിഞ്ഞ
Ma, ini 9 ആവണുള്ളൂ.